right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Dynamic Lifestyle Podcast with your hosts, Eric and Chris Martinez. We have our awesome guest, the one and only Katie Ann Rutherford, on the call. Katie, how are you doing today?
Great. Thanks, guys. Thanks so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. And I'm excited to chat a little bit about some different things and talk about, just all sorts of stuff. So, yeah, thanks.
Oh, yeah, we got a lot of good questions to ask you. And it's the pleasure is all ours to, for you to take your time out of your day and just, be a guest on our podcast. We really appreciate it.
Well, I really appreciate the, just including me in this, and really means a lot to me. So never thought that I'd be asked one day to be on a podcast. So
that's awesome.
A couple of years ago, I never would have thought I'd be doing this. So yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah. So thanks again, guys.
Okay, cool. So what we usually do kind of like with all our guests to really start off the podcast is we want to kind of just ask you kind of to tell our audience pretty much, what your story is and who you are.
Yeah. So I am from Columbus, Ohio, and I grew up here my entire life, have lived in the same city my whole life, went to Ohio State University, graduated with a degree in finance. So my background, I've always been into athletics and really pursuing an athletic career. Like I was always into track, before track it was tennis, and then in high school I was very serious about track. And I've always been very interested in health and wellness and lifestyle and nutrition and all that sort of thing. But I have, come from a past of struggles with both eating disorders and, body image and my training and nutrition and all sorts of stuff. So really kind of my struggle has given me a passion for health and fitness and wellness. Now going into college, I never anticipated that I'd be doing what I am today. So today I'm a coach. I coach for both powerlifting and bodybuilding and also just general lifestyle. And I currently, I am training. I am a figure pro, and I'm training for nationals for powerlifting. So right now, focusing on powerlifting. So if you would have asked me even just 5 years ago what I'd be doing today, I never would have anticipated giving that answer. So I went to school for finance, but then got really serious into bodybuilding and powerlifting, kind of through some different turns of events, and really, I'd say through my struggle, it led me to finding bodybuilding, and then finding some coaches that led me in some different directions, and then eventually finding powerlifting, and have been able to, have some success with that, and then turn it into my career now, which is coaching. So I really am passionate about, helping other people and giving other people hope, because I think that that's something that, in the fitness industry, a lot of people are just focused on self-promotion and bettering kind of their own personal their own personal game. But I really think it's important too that with whatever gifts that we're given, we're able to affect other people in a positive light. Right. So if that's even just something simple like a post or just sharing your story, because for me, like it didn't really come naturally. I never really shared my story with people growing up, or maybe some struggles that I had with, eating or just kind of finding balance in life. But I think that that's really something that I'm passionate about now, is being able to help other people and do something to positively impact the fitness community. So that's kind of, I guess you could say, my story in a little bit of a nutshell.
That's awesome. That makes you who you are.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So, every low, it definitely has its purpose and brings you to the point that you're at today, So
absolutely. Well said. Yeah. So one thing that I caught you said that is, so you went to school for finance, right? So I always like to know about this, because I think it's really interesting that, we travel on this journey that we're supposed to do, but then all of a sudden we get kind of drifted off and do something else that we're passionate about. So two parts to this question, like what made you, first of all, major in finance? And then secondly, what made you get to that point where, you're like, I don't want to do finance. Like, I don't have any passion for this. I want to do something in the fitness industry.
Yeah. So originally, majoring in finance was kind of just growing through high school. I always was just, math was my strongest subject, and it was kind of like a natural fit. I just thought, well, what's something like in college that I could possibly do? I had interests in finance, and also in going into like political science or a law degree to go to law school. Like I always just really enjoyed my political science class. I enjoyed my math class. So I don't know. I just kind of went by like what classes did I enjoy, but I didn't really think of like long term, what do I see myself doing or what do I have passion for? Now I have had passion for, you know, kind of the, I guess you could say like, I loved like mock trial in middle school and high school and that sort of thing. So I really did enjoy it. But then getting to college, you know, I've always had kind of a business mind too. Growing up like in elementary school and middle school and even high school leading up to college, I like had my own dog care business. So I would walk dogs in my neighborhood and walk. I know, and it doesn't sound like much, but I was actually, you know, able to do that a lot. And it was kind of like I guess you could say like close to a full-time job at some points during the summer because I was watching all sorts of dogs in my community and you know, so I was always very like just loved being able to, you know, help people and somehow like make a living out of it. So then going into college, my dad actually runs his own business. And he's an entrepreneur. So I, you know, thought, well, business school. And then since I was good at math, I guess finance. So it's just kind of like, I wasn't really thinking about, you know, what do I see myself long term? Like, what's my passion about? It was kind of like, what am I good at? And what do I kind of have experience in, you know? And I loved business and running my own business. And I thought maybe one day I'll have my own business or work for a corporation. Mm-hmm. So then actually in school, I got an internship. I worked at actually at Victoria's Secret in college, just, you know, as kind of a part-time job in addition to my dog walking. Because I still did that in college. I did that from like 10 years old until I like graduated college. So throughout all that time, so I know all the neighbors in my, you know, my neighborhood growing up, and you know, just walked all sorts of dogs and watched cats, and oh my gosh, so much in so much of that growing up. I'm glad I have a patient mom because she came with me to a lot of that. A lot of disgusting, you know, dog crap that that goes on. But then I got an internship actually in finance because that was my degree my junior year in college. And then after I graduated, I got a job offer from that. So then after college, I started working for Bath and Body Works at their corporate office. So I started in finance, and I thought that's what I wanted to do. You know, I thought getting this corporate job, you know, it was a very good job. You know, I really was appreciative of the opportunity, and you know, in hindsight too, it taught me so many lessons, and I'm so thankful for that experience that I had. Really just the experience that I was able to gain from working in that environment was, even though at the time I thought, well, if I don't want to do this in the future, then why am I doing this? But really, you know, just communication, working with other people, really, I think every single opportunity that you have in life, even if it's not like what you want to be doing in the future, like I didn't really want to work in a corporate office or in a cubicle. You know, there's so many skills that you can take from one area in your life and relate it to another. So, so just all sorts, I mean, I really, you know, even just like presentations, like I had to make presentations, and, you know, at the time I was like, oh gosh, you know, I don't really like this, but, you know, in hindsight, it's like, wow, like that was so cool that I had that opportunity, and not very many people do. And two, it really showed me what I didn't want to do. So I was working in finance and working in a cubicle, actually worked in the finance department for Bath and Body Works, and then also space planning, which is kind of like a combination between, like, I guess you could say like kind of a creative aspect and inventory. So I was like merchandising product and, you know, just sending inventory signal to stores. And I really realized that this isn't what I'm passionate about. I found myself during the entire day just thinking about like because at the time I was prepping for my first competition, and I was just starting to powerlift. You know, I found myself like listening to podcasts, like fitness podcasts, like while I was working, and you know, listening to like you know, Lane has the physique science radio, and I was like listening to that like while I was working, and listening to his YouTube videos, and listening to like fitness YouTube videos, and like squat and deadlift tutorial videos.
Sounds like a lot like us. Yeah.
listening to the audio and just being, just trying to, like, I was like envisioning my squat and deadlift as I'm working. And so so I really realized that that's what I'm passionate about. And I had a lot of people, inquire about, do I do training? Do I do, especially as I, had some success with powerlifting and bodybuilding. And, I just thought, okay, I can do this. Like especially after during that time when I was working for Bath and Body Works, it was a job. It was a very, it was a stable job. It allowed me to be able to travel and go to seminars. So I went to like so many of Lane Norton's camps and was able to learn from the experts, meet Dr. Mike Zordos, meet Ben Escrow, meet Ryan Doris and train with them and learn, and Jeremy Leneke, and, really absorb all this information. And it was like an incredible experience. I met all these amazing people with PhDs and teaching me things. And, I was basically like in the classroom every single time that I went to, one of these seminars. So I really was able to build my knowledge by, building relationships with these people too. So then, it kind of came to the point where I was like, what I'm passionate about is helping people and this fitness, and I've dedicated years of my life to it. So like, why not just try this? So it was actually about, I guess it's been a year and a few months now, and it hasn't been that long that I quit my corporate job and started an LLC and decided to, start, programming, training, and all that sort of thing. So, and it's been great. And I've been able to travel and even pursue my own athletic endeavors more, which is something that I really wanted the freedom to be able to do at this point in my life. Because like in 5 years, like I have no idea. I mean, I might get like injured, or I might, be married. I don't know, who knows doing in 5 years, or I might meet someone, or I might move, or who knows. But like right now I have this opportunity that I can pursue my fitness endeavors myself, and then also be able to help people. And there's a lot of people out there. Sometimes I feel like more like a psychologist than a coach but there's a lot of people who need someone who understands their struggle. Yeah. And that's something that I, too, have appreciated by having coaches who understand that. And then, too, just having clients who express that, gratitude for, I'm so glad you understand, because we can work through this. And, it's a relationship, and it's it's not just giving them something to do in the gym and, giving them their macros. It's so much more than that. Yeah, right. So I guess that was kind of a long-winded answer.
No, that's awesome.
It was good, and it just really sounds like, you were just always kind of an entrepreneur at a young age and at heart. So I like that, and I like how you talked about the fact that you acquired some sort of skills, because we're big believers in that no matter what. I mean, we used to work, day jobs too, when we were younger, and it gave us a lot of skills too. So, I mean, there's always something you can take out of that.
Yes. Yeah. And I think something too that in the fitness industry now that is, is a little bit lacking, is that sometimes people don't have those basic skills, and then they don't know how to, even just communicate. And it's like those skills, I am so thankful that I was able to, develop when I worked that job when I was, in school. And I'm blessed that I had that opportunity and I have that education. So I don't see my education in finance as being wasted at all. Like I see it as being a launching pad, and two, then I also have that. It's not like I didn't dislike my job, I just was passionate about something else. So I still have that background. I still have that. Like if someday I'm like, well, the fitness isn't working out, then I can, but it's all about just kind of building, like, who do you want to see yourself being in the future, and kind of like building upon that. And every experience that you have, it's not a waste at all. So,
Love it. Alrighty. So let's shift gears here. So, Chris and I are really big proponents of, developing good sound habits, having some sort of ritual to kind of start off our day. So can you kind of tell us what you do the first 60 to like 120 minutes of each day?
Yeah. So, this is something that I've been trying to do more so in the past, I'd say 6 months or so, because I did not used to have a routine. So coming from my corporate background, it was always wake up first thing in the morning, having a, well, it's not a 9 to 5, it was more like an 8:30 to 5, or, and I had a 45-minute commute too. So I was like, or sometimes an hour, depending on, traffic and everything. I was like, sometimes I was like, oh dear God, just help me get through this.
Traffic in Columbus?
But, oh my God. Oh, it was, yeah, I know. See, I complain about it, but to you guys, it probably would seem like nothing. But too, just with training and everything. So when I woke up in the morning, I was just like, all right, alarm, and then rush. And it was just like, from the moment that my alarm went off to the moment that I laid in bed, it was just constant chaos. And that's something too that I really wanted to get away from when I, left my job, is I thought, okay, no matter how much money I'm able to make or what kind of, having freedom is priceless to me. Right. So, it was a little, it was risky to, leave my job, and, it was like, well, a little bit unsure. But that's something that I think is so invaluable. So, and that's too what I've discovered. Setting yourself up for a positive day has so many benefits. So in the past, at first when I started kind of in this new endeavor, I did not have a morning routine, and I'd open my phone first thing in the morning and check email, and then kind of get stressed out because I'd be like, oh shoot, I have to do that, and then start making this list in my mind. And I've realized that is the worst possible way to start out the day, is by opening your phone and checking your email, or checking, something, because usually that's the first thing I go to, because I'm like, oh my gosh, is a client emailing me, or is it, is something, what's happening? So the first thing I do in the morning, I do not check that at all. Like, I do not check my email. I might, if I have a text message or something, I might answer a text message, but actually the first thing that I do in the morning, besides having like branched chain amino acids, that just like gets my day starting, because I'm a little bit hungry in the morning. So what I do is I get ready in the morning, because I didn't used to do this. So I think that's, even when you work your own job, or you own your own business, or you're, just working from home, it's easy to kind of get in this habit of kind of being lazy and being like, well, I'm just working at home, I can just be in my PJs all day. Yeah. So something that I do first thing, which might sound, it might be like, well, why does she do that? But it really sets me up mentally. So I get up and, I get ready, like as if I would go to work. So, but the thing is that I appreciate so much now, and as opposed to working, the job that I did before, is, I just kind of like think about the day before, and I'm able to kind of relax, and, I get ready and I look presentable, because I just want to set myself up for the rest of the day. I don't like going through the day feeling kind of like gross and like, because I don't know what's going to happen, especially too, when you work kind of a flexible job, something could come up, or you might need to Skype someone, or you might need to, run and do an appointment or do something. So I always set myself up by, looking presentable, changing my clothes. That's the first thing I do. And then depending on my training schedule, it really varies by day, but something I also like to do is to read something positive in the morning. Nice. So I actually have a couple devotional books. My faith is important to me too. So I think even if you don't have a faith, or you don't have any sort of religious, anything that you have in your life, I think having a greater purpose is something that we all need. Right. So whether it's, a purpose for the greater good of the community, or the greater good of the world, or your family, or whatever it is, I think it's important to really ground yourself in that. So to me, it's actually a Christian devotional book. So that's because my faith is important to me. So I read it in the morning. And something that I think is important too is not reading too much, because then it can kind of like overwhelm your thoughts, and you get lost, and you're like, what did I read? And then you forget. So I just read it's actually the shortest devotional book that I have, and it's just one short page, and it's something that I can just think of for the rest of the day. And then if something, negative happens, then that just pops up right into my brain. So I think that starting the day by having some sort of positivity, greater purpose, whether it be religious. If you're religious, then, something like a devotional, or if you're not, then, maybe some sort of a positive quote, or a positive, there's all sorts of books out there that you can get that have different daily readings that you can do, religious or not. Starting you out in the right mindset, because things are going to happen during the day, but if you have that mindset from the beginning, I think it has such a great effect. I've just noticed a difference in my attitude, in the way I'm thinking. If I read that, and then I read a negative email, then I have that perspective. But if I don't read that, and I read the negative email first, then I might be bitter, the rest of the day. Yeah. Set me out on kind of some sort of, in some sort of attitude. So then something also too I enjoy to do, but I'm not necessarily able to do this every single day, is take a walk in my neighborhood. So whether it be, like a half mile or sometimes it's up to 2 miles, I really getting out in the sun, seeing the beauty of the world, like, and it's something I appreciate so much now too, because I wasn't really able to do that before.
Right.
Though at my job, I did like to take breaks and take a walk outside, because there is something very just refreshing, centering about being outside and seeing nature. And even if you're in kind of a crappy area, like, doesn't matter, like, it's beautiful. Like, look up at the sky. Like, if it's sunny out, like, it's pretty incredible, looking at the clouds and the sun, and it's just like, wow, like, if you really appreciate, your surroundings. So that's kind of like my morning routine, I guess you could say. It depends, like, if I'm training or if I'm working. So then usually next I either work or I train, depending on, like, which gym I'm going to, because I go to a couple different gyms. So, or if I have, like, a client at that gym, or a client, depending on, like, my work. And so it usually goes around kind of what I need to do for my work. I fit my training around that, and or depending on, like, if I'm training with someone or something like
Gotcha.
that. So yeah, so that's kind of depends on the day, but that's kind of like the general structure that I like. And also caffeine, that has to be fit.
I was gonna say that's crucial.
No,
Yeah.
that's good. Yeah, that's good though. I liked what you said about getting into, like, that ritual of kind of getting ready,
Yes.
and you got to look good on those Snapchats.
Yeah.
That's true.
Right?
I don't know who's gonna FaceTime you during the day.
Yeah.
But too, it, like, gives me that, like, it's just your body, like, your body is your temple. You should take care of yourself.
Yeah.
So I like to just make sure that I'm, I look the same every day. Like, I'm never fancy. I'm never anything. Like, the makeup I wear to the gym is the same makeup I wear out on the town.
But you look presentable though. That's what matters.
Yeah, but just looking presentable, just feeling, it makes you feel better too, because you want to do something in the morning that makes you, just feel better too. Like, we shouldn't be kind of in a negative mood, the whole day. So just something like, what's something positive that you can do? And if it's, making yourself a little bit more presentable, then that kind of works for me.
Absolutely.
So yeah. And then having some caffeine, feel a little better too. So.
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna switch gears here. So basically, we're 6 months into 2016. Okay, so you got one of your big goals done, and that was pretty much leave your corporate job, start your own LLC, right? So what does your vision look like for the next 6 months of this year?
I'd say for the next 6 months of the year is just continuing to develop my business, continuing to get better as a coach. I think that that's something that I always want to continue to do and focus on, because that's my really a huge focus for me, is making sure that I'm being there for my clients. Like, how am I improving as a coach too? And that also involves, how am I putting myself out there to develop my skills better? Like, what relationships am I building? What resources am I able, who am I talking to? Who am I learning from? So that's like a huge part of it too, is personal development and making sure I'm developing relationships, becoming a better person, becoming a better coach, not getting so kind of, just smooth sailing that I'm getting comfortable and not trying to improve myself. So I would say that continuing to develop my business, it's really one step at a time. Sometimes it can be overwhelming when it's, just you. So, like recently, like I was like, well, I've been slacking on this website thing. So I was like, I'm going to start a blog. So now that's something where people can contact me. So I've started to kind of build that slowly, and then I have like contact information on there. So that's going to be my next step. So it's going to be like website and that sort of thing. But then I can't lose like the focus too on, my clients and making sure that I'm being the best coach possible, but then also continuing to pursue my athletic endeavors myself. Because I think that, making sure I'm doing what I love too, to make myself happy, so then I can be a better person for other people as well. Right. So I think that's kind of my vision that I see for the next 6 months or so, and also just continue to work towards, because I'm going to work towards nationals for powerlifting. So continue to do that. To develop relationships. I'm going to be traveling, so I'm going to I'm doing a seminar out in Utah, and then I'm also going to Worlds for the IPF Worlds in Texas. So So, something that's been invaluable to me is meeting other people. So putting myself out there, being vulnerable, not just like living in my little cave. And, because it can be easy to do,
Oh,
especially
absolutely. Yeah. Really
if you own your own business. It's like you can just kind of go from day to day and live in your cave. But I want to like try to push myself even more these next 6 months, because I feel like I've established, and I kind of established my business, and it takes a while, but then just pushing myself even more, like how can I get better, like who can I meet, what people can I impact, like what other ways can I impact people, what am I best at that I can use my skills to impact other people. So, I have to think about my skills, because I can look at other people, maybe what they're doing, but if I think about would I be happy doing that, is that something I'm good at? Like, no. Okay, so then I need to refocus and figure out like what is the best avenue to do that.
Great.
So,
Awesome. Okay. I have to look at this guy's face every single day here.
It's like looking in the mirror.
That's true. I know. It's just like
So yeah, I mean, I love how you mentioned like the whole vision thing. I mean, I'm the type of person where if a vision without any action is just a dream. So that's the way I see it. So I love how you're taking action on your vision. So we also know that once we have goals and stuff that obstacles come upon us. So what are your current challenges, and what are your current distractions that are kind of holding you back right now currently?
Well, I think I kind of, mentioned it a little bit, but I think that something as a challenge is if you own your own business or you run your own show, is just there's no like beginning and end point. So sometimes it can be overwhelming. So you can just get lost in so many things that you have to do that you're constantly like kind of spinning, and you're like going from one thing to another, and so that's something that I have been trying to get better at, and I think I'm getting better at, is not just constantly not having like certain times where I'm doing something and certain times where I'm doing another thing. So like, I guess what I'm saying is a way to that I that I try to be less distracted is, if I'm working on something, like if I'm working on, let's say a program for a client, that's what I'm doing. Like I'm going to put my phone over to the side. I'm not going to be answering text message, nothing. Like I'm going to be focusing on that. If I have some sort of like even if it's just like a YouTube video, okay, that's what I'm going to be doing. Because it's so easy to get so distracted when you have other things in your mind, and you have a plan to write, and you have a client to blah, 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 blah. But it's just one thing at a time. So I think that distractions, it's just easy to get overwhelmed by so many things if you kind of run your own business, or if you're a coach. And so challenges, it's just kind of staying on top of things and making sure that I and keeping focus because I do travel quite a bit. So making sure that I'm not just like jumping from one thing to a next, and I'm really like staying focused and making sure that I am still attentive to my clients. I'm still, working towards my goals, and not just being like, oh, I'm just going to look forward to the next like trip that I have. No, I need to still continue to like, develop myself, develop my skills, and not just jump from one thing to another. Cause I think that can be easy to do, kind of get distracted and get lost in kind of that travel. Oh, well, I have a trip here, so I can just kind of focus on that now, that sort of thing. So I think those are some challenges that anyone who runs their own business or deals with clients or anything, it's easy to, not have any really like off hours, but there's times like when I shut down my computer, okay, I'm not going to look at email. Like I need like just some time, like during training, like I'm not going to open my email, it's my time for myself. And it's hard sometimes to like tunnel that off, but it really is best for your clients too, I think, and best for your business, because when you're answering emails on your phone like all the time, it's not going to be the best. It's not going to be the best quality. It's like if they have a question, like you need, like I feel like I'm the type of person where I need to sit down and take time to like answer it in a thoughtful way, and not just be like, unless it's like a quick like, something where I can just be like, okay, sounds good, or whatever. But if it's something I have to think about, like I want to take the time to do that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
since we're on the topic of like challenges and distractions, right? So I'm going to throw you a curveball here. Okay. So, so I want to know, what was the lowest point in your life? Okay. And what was the highest point in your life? And basically, how did you get out of that low point? And what did you learn through that transition from your low point to your high point? Because I think a lot of us go through this, and I think a lot of us are afraid to kind of admit what happens, you know. But for us, a low point was losing our father, then a piece of our mom, you know, turning to alcoholism. But, you know, it transitioned us into the guys that we are today and making an impact on the world. So what would you say?
I would say probably the lowest point that I had was in college, when I was struggling with kind of just my self-worth and it really was not an outside factor, which I think a lot of people deal with. It's like you're your own worst enemy. And I think that kind of made it even worse because I was just blaming myself. So I think it was probably during, it was like the summer of like 2011 or maybe 2010, I don't know, sometime in college. And just, you know, I was dealing with just like eating disorders, binging, starving myself, excessive cardio, and I was ballooning in weight, like gaining, I'm not even kidding you, gaining 20 pounds in like a few weeks. Like it was just absolutely insane. And obviously, if that's happening externally, there's something seriously wrong internally. So I was very just depressed, and I just didn't know what to do. So really, I would say that I am so blessed to have a very strong support system through my family. And they are really who helped me get through all my toughest times. Like, I don't know how I got so lucky, but my parents and even my siblings have always been like 100% supportive of me, just encouraging me, supporting me in whatever I chose to do. So really in these low points, I would say that it was going to those people that I knew had my best interest and sharing with them. Like, it was so hard for me to share this, you know, this low point, but sharing with them that I was struggling, but then also realizing that I can take action. Like, this doesn't have to be the end. Like, I was 20 at the time or something, or I don't know. It was just I think I was either early 20s. This does not have to be the end. And I remember there was a quote that my mom gave me, and I still think of this today. And it was, your greatest struggle can be your greatest victory, and your weakness can turn into your strength. And I remember just repeating that in my head over and over and saying, my weakness can become my strength. Like, this weakness of, you know, dealing with binging and anorexia and, you know, all that stuff that goes with like body image and all that sort of stuff, this can become my strength. And really, in hindsight, looking back, it's amazing how it kind of did become, you know, now I'm helping people. If I wouldn't have been able to go through that low point, I wouldn't be at this point I am today, where I can relate to those who are struggling. And I think that gives me so much insight to my clients who might be dealing with these sort of things. Or, you know, if I'm reaching just in general, like with a YouTube video or, you know, talking about things, I've had so many people who say, oh my gosh, like that is what I'm struggling with. And it's so refreshing to hear, you know, that someone is struggling with that or struggled with that same thing. And then it's just taking it one day at a time. I mean, it was just, you know, you have to focus on something that is sustainable. You cannot I've tried every single extreme diet that you could possibly imagine, every single extreme plan, every single extreme exercise regimen, you know, cardio 3 times a day. It was just crazy. But if you cannot see yourself sticking to it long term, it is not going to work. It's going to fail. You need to figure out what brings you happiness and what is sustainable for you. And if you cannot be content with the journey that you're on, then really, like, what's the point? Because life is not guaranteed. Like, I could be gone tomorrow. If I'm not enjoying what I'm doing, or at least finding some satisfaction, it's not always going to be easy. Like, life is not always easy, and it's, you know, you're going to have struggles along the way. But if you cannot find some sort of satisfaction in it, and you cannot see yourself long term, then it's not going to work. So finding something that you can really stick to each day, and it's not going to, obviously, like any sort of fitness endeavor that you do, it's not necessarily going to be easy, because physical change is not easy. But you just have to accept that. But you have to find, it doesn't have to be miserable. Just because it's not easy doesn't mean it has to be miserable. So I think that was definitely key for me, is realizing that I needed something that that was not, you don't have to go to extremes to see results. You can find something enjoyable, find what fitness plan you love, find what diet you love, or, works for you. If you want to do CrossFit, then do CrossFit. Like, if you want to run marathons, like, I mean, not that I think that that's like the ideal thing for what I was doing, which was bodybuilding, but find something that you really love to do, help you to the point you want to be in the future. So for me, that was finding flexible dieting, finding bodybuilding, and then powerlifting, and so that was kind of how I took a step out of that. Okay, the other part of that, the other part of that was the high point. Is that what it was? Was that the other point? The high point. Was that the other question?
Yeah, the high point, and then how you transitioned out of that.
So I'd say a high point. I mean, it's really just been the past couple years. I would say, like, I've just really been blessed the past few years or so. One of the high points was, like, winning my pro card in figure, and then also just, I mean, that was a high point, but to be honest, probably just being able to enjoy a life that I like. Like, I know that sounds so weird, but, like, for me, I'm not so focused. Like, those achievements are great. Like, I really did enjoy, it was like, oh wow, this is amazing, winning my pro card, or like, when I won juniors at nationals for powerlifting, like, that was that was cool. But then I was like, the next day I just wanted to train. Like, I was like, right. I just love this. Like, I just love the process. So I think if you find something where you can actually enjoy the process and enjoy the journey, then it's not like those high points. It's not like you have big highs and letdowns. Like, it's because you just really enjoy each day. And I feel so blessed to be able to do what I do. And the fact that I actually can, pursue my endeavors and live this life that I live right now, that I'd say that a high is just being able to do that and enjoying myself. So.
Yeah. No, awesome. Thank you for sharing that. We really like those responses. I mean, sounds like you've come a long way, and it's really, really good to see. And it's just, I can tell, like, you seem like you're very happy, and just like, you're genuine, you're humble. So, I mean, it's really, really good to see that. Yeah.
Thank you.
So, yeah, you're welcome. And so what we kind of do now is, like, kind of with, like, our guests is pretty much do kind of like a rapid, like, fire question series. Okay. So, right. I guess we want to know too, we want to mix this podcast up with a little bit of, like, training and nutrition stuff too, not just solely focus on lifestyle, because, part of it is lifestyle. So what are you currently doing training and nutrition wise these days?
Training right now is focused more so on, well, it's kind of a combination of powerlifting and bodybuilding, because that's always what I just enjoy doing. But right now it's a little bit more heavily focused on powerlifting, as I'm getting ready for nationals in October. So it's a DUP powerlifting program. So I squat 4 times a week, bench 4 times a week, and deadlift twice a week. And then I fit in accessory work accordingly for bodybuilding. And then just add in, like, cardio randomly, like, if I feel like it.
the fun stuff, right?
So, I know. Actually, I have been enjoying it recently. Like, I've been going, like, I actually ran some hill sprints the other day, and it, like, brought me back to my track days, and I was like, I really like this. So just adding it in whenever. And then for nutrition, just following a flexible diet, maintenance sort of diet, just fueling my body. Need to make sure that I'm fueling it appropriately, because strength is my number one goal right now. So just making sure that I'm, maintaining that and maintaining around my weight class, and, but still following flexible dieting, but focusing on nutrition first, and making sure I'm, a healthy, sound diet, but then also, of course, fitting in my favorite treats and everything. So awesome. Really just balanced, making sure I'm staying on that and being balanced.
So what are your current macros at?
Well, it kind of, it's like in a range. So my protein's right around 165. Carbs are anywhere from like 250 to 280, dependent. Like it's right around that range. And then fats are anywhere from like 60 to 75. It really, like I've been playing around kind of with some different ratios to see like what makes me feel best. Because my number one priority is my training and also health. So, just like is maybe a little bit higher fat and lower carb, but I think it's just tweaking, because through different phases of our fitness journey, like certain things work for us better than others. So like recently I've been a little bit on the lower end of fat and a little bit higher carb, and that's been working well. So it's just all about like playing around, because I think when you do flexible dieting for long enough, you really learn to like listen to your body more so than just follow specific macronutrient numbers. So so I still have numbers that I aim for, obviously, but I think too it's important for me to like be in touch with my body and like what do I train best on, what do I sleep best on, how do I feel best, so, and what is healthiest in the long term. So yeah, so still all flexible dieting though, 100%. Still fit in ice cream every day.
There you go.
Actually, had a whole Lenny's and Larry's last night before bed, and I was like,
I was just gonna say those Lenny and Larry's, plenty of calories to fit those in.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh, I know. Last night I was
addicting.
I was like, I just need a whole Lenny's and Larry's. So I had a Lenny's and Larry's with like yogurt ice cream. I was like, I just need this right now.
Yeah, so bomb.
After having, all my vegetables and everything the rest of the day. But
there you go.
Yeah.
All right. So what are you doing right now self-development wise? So let's not think training, nutrition. Let's just kind of think self-development wise.
Yeah. So self-development wise, I think really pushing myself to not just be complacent. So for me in the past year, I've traveled more than I ever have. Like I never used to be a traveler. I never was really I never went outside my box really, or met people. And I think that the best way to, really something that I just have valued so much are the people that I've been able to meet. So, just making sure that I'm meeting new people, I'm putting myself out there, which can be scary at times, but really develops yourself. You build confidence. You kind of figure out, because I think all of us are kind of figuring out like who exactly are we? Like what's our purpose in life and that sort of thing. And by, pushing yourself, putting yourself out there, that's definitely a way that I've been able to, work on my self-development, work on, just my internal and pushing my limits in terms of like making myself uncomfortable sometimes. Cause that's sometimes we need to do that, like do some things that are a little bit scary. Like maybe I don't really want to do that. I'm doing a seminar actually by myself in Nevada. And usually I do, or I'm sorry, not Nevada, in Utah. Right. And yeah, I was like, Nevada, I did one there earlier this year. And usually I do it with my friend, but I'm doing this one by myself, and just because it didn't work out, and I'm like, I was like, maybe should I do this? But I'm like, you know what? I need to do this. Like, yeah. I need to push myself, put myself out there. Like, I can do this. Like, I need to have confidence and do this, and really like have confidence in myself, because that really develops yourself too, because then you see, oh, I can do this, and then it catapults you into other things. And then also for me personally, working on my faith and having just a bigger purpose type viewpoint. So whether that is like reading devotionals or reading books that focus on that is something that is big for me. And especially recently I've been trying to focus on, because that gives me a bigger picture on my family. So really developing my spiritual aspect in my life is a focus of mine recently, and I feel that kind of transcended other aspects of my life as well, because I see the bigger picture and I'm like, okay, it's not all about me. It can be easy, especially this is such a selfish industry, that you can be like, oh, it's all about me, like it's about my body and my my success and all that stuff. But really, if you're just like living for yourself, then like if you die, like what difference will it make?
There's no legacy.
Yeah, exactly. Like all of us are going to die one day, so what do you want to leave behind, and what impact do you want to make? Right. So that's been another part of that too.
Awesome.
So
awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. So what do you like to do for fun, and don't hold back?
Oh gosh, for fun, well, training honestly is like my time during the day that I love. Like if I'm on vacation, I'm gonna train. So I find that, a fun part of my day. And then also I would say traveling recently. I love to travel, so I've been trying to, do that more and just explore new areas and meet new people. So a lot of a lot of what I love to do for fun, I've tried to make into part of my career. So, I've been able to incorporate travel into my career and, obviously training, like I see that as part of my, career, making sure I'm getting better. But then also just, spending time with family, really just like appreciating like the people in my life, family and friends. And, of course, like, I just personally, I love cooking and making new recipes and just trying to, be creative, I guess you could say, in the kitchen. I just like randomly love to do that. Um, and then I also do enjoy writing too. So I'm going to start, I've, kind of started a blog recently. So hopefully I can, do that a little bit more. And that's something that I find is kind of a release too. So
yeah, it's always good to just write out feelings, thoughts.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it'll go a long way to your audience and stuff like
Thank
that.
you.
So real
Yeah.
quick, so you mentioned you like to travel a lot. So
Yes.
we like to travel a lot. So
Yeah,
what's your one destination, just off the top of your head, that if you could go anywhere like tomorrow, where would you go?
Well, it'd be somewhere in Europe.
Yeah.
And it would okay, so it would be Scotland.
Okay.
But if I had a second place, it would be the southern tip of France.
Gotcha.
So I have a Scottish like background, like English, Scottish, so Scotch Irish. So I've always been interested in like going and meeting Rutherfords,
Yeah.
like what my heritage is. So that would be really cool. And then it's just beautiful there too. Like it's just absolutely gorgeous. The countryside, like oh my gosh. And then southern France, I just have always had an interest in French and the French language. I took it in college, high school and college. So I just have seen pictures of the southern coast of France. So how about you guys? Where would you want to go?
That's a good question.
I personally, I want to go to Spain, and then Italy, and then gosh, even like a Norway would be really cool.
Yes. Switzerland is another one that
those are my destinations.
Yeah. And I would say Spain for sure, and then I would want to go probably like to Dominican Republic or something like that.
Oh yeah,
I heard it's really beautiful over there.
Yeah, there's a lot of places I would want to go, but I think Europe would definitely be
Absolutely.
place.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's on the bucket list.
Oh yeah.
All right, Katie, so we're going to leave you with the last question. You ready for it?
Okay. Maybe.
All right. Drum roll, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. What does it mean to live a dynamic lifestyle to you?
Yeah. I think living a dynamic lifestyle to me is more about developing into the person that you see yourself being to make an impact in other people's lives. Like, I don't think that living a dynamic lifestyle should just be self-focused and having a nice body and having good nutrition. It has to be more than that. It has to be dynamic. Like, how are you making a difference in other people's lives? And how are you, your body is your temple. Like, how are you respecting yourself, living healthfully, both nutrition, training, and also, mentally, like, how are you developing your mental skills, your career, your relationships with others? Because if you just kind of live in this cave where it's all about me, all about, my body and my nutrition and that sort of thing, really, it's not a dynamic lifestyle because you're not affecting anyone else. You're just affecting yourself. So I think, developing relationships with other people, making a difference in other people's lives. And that's something that I really respect about you guys is that, really with anything that I see you guys do, it's affecting other people too. It's like, how can we inspire someone? How can we make a difference in someone's lives? Like, how is this information going to help someone else who maybe needs it? Or how's this training program going to help someone? So I think that's
Appreciate
something
that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So I think what you guys are doing, it's like the perfect name for, dynamic duo, because really that you are affecting so many people. And so I believe that should be the first and foremost focus is what is your greater purpose outside just yourself? Because when you help someone, there's nothing better than that feeling. Like I remember the first time my client emailed me and said, like, you changed my life. I was like,
yeah, it's a really good feeling.
Like, how? Like, but it's just an amazing feeling.
Yeah.
And there's nothing quite like it. So even greater
awesome.
than any personal accomplishment that you can have. So
gotcha. Awesome response to that. So before we let you go, we just want to Chris and I, from the bottom of our heart, just want to acknowledge you.
And from our eyebrows.
Yeah, and the eyebrows. And just want to tell you, we just want to acknowledge, everything that you're doing around the industry, just, putting yourself out there, just like you said, changing lives, just really making an impact, because this is a selfish industry and we need more people like yourself to get a bigger reach on people. So we just want to say, thank you for all you do and all your continued success. And I know we've collaborated on a couple of things and we got more stuff coming, which we're excited about. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm very excited. Well, thank you guys. I really appreciate the kind words, and really it does mean a lot to me that, I would be included on this, and so thank you again.
Yeah,
so.
you're welcome.
All right, so where can our readers, or not our readers, what am I thinking about our blog? Where can our listeners find you, your work, your blog, your social media, everything like that?
Yeah. So on Facebook, it is facebook.com/ I think it's Katie Ann Rutherford, and then on Instagram, I am Katie Ann 100. And then my blog is katieannfit.com. And then email is katieannfit@gmail.com for programming and coaching and that sort of thing. So, and I don't think I'm forgetting anything else. Oh, Snapchat.
Yeah, you can't forget about that.
I kind of slack on Snapchat.
That one's money these days.
It's Katie3715.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think those are all the places that I am at.
Awesome. All right, guys, we'll have all of that linked up to the show notes for you guys, especially Snapchat, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, Katie, thanks so much for taking the time out of your day to do this and talk to us and our audience as well. Really appreciate it.
Honestly,
we'll have you on soon again.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk soon, Katie.
All right. Thank you.
Have a good one.
Bye.
All right. Bye.